mowing morning to everyone. It is that time of the week. The heavy rainfall last night, of course, means mowing this morning. Because that's the way it is. Trash is also a day later because of the holiday on Monday. Not Memorial Day. The day I paid off my car. I made a whole video on Monday. It was just a quick thing. I just put it together of washing my car. It needed washed, but at the same time, this is the final month of payments on that car. I've had that Macan for 5 years. Was very fortunate at the time to have gotten that vehicle, and I'm very proud of that vehicle. I love that car. It's so much fun to drive. It's got a lot of room in it. You get performance, and then you get hauling, and it's all-wheel drive, and there's just so much good to that car. Ooh, yeah. This is the poetry. This is the black Kahawa coffee. This is the poetry. It's not, I don't want to call it grease. I hate calling it grease. It doesn't sound right, but it's not the oily. That's good. Oily, grease, what the hell's the difference? One sounds better. Oily, if you're oily, it's okay. If you're greasy, it's like, ooh, in my mind. This is not like the oily, oozing coffee that I got that from the Columbus brew box that upset my stomach. This stuff is actually pretty good. And I'm going to put in 32 because we are doing the pour over today. I'm going to do a little pour over. I'm going to do a little steeping. We're going to do a little going through. We're going to do a little all of that magic, and then I'm going to cut up a chocolate block. Once I get this is a light roast, I think. Yeah, this is a light roast, so this definitely needs to be spritzed. Light roasts tend to go through a little harder, create a little bit more static. Medium roasts, dark roasts tend to not. All right, so we're at a 28 espresso. I need to move the dial to filter. We're gonna make it about a mid-size filter. We're gonna put it about a 70 here at the old DF. Get some of the excess out of there. Start it up. Yeah, we should be fine. This thing does grind coffee pour overs really well, as good as it does espresso, and that's really nice. And now we're chirping for some reason. I don't know why we're chirping. Oh well. It is. It's great for really nice pour overs. I've not tried it yet for French press yet. I don't think. French press has always been kind of low on my priority list of making things. Because I mean, it's good, but it just seems like the French press is more of a, you got to be in the mood for a French press. Because that's steeping time, and that French press is also really good for overnight brews, which I also have done like once or twice, and those are pretty nice. I'm kind of shaving it down. That's kind of nice. I'm letting the chocolate guide me rather than trying to guide the chocolate. Some Nietzschean shit right there, isn't it? All right, and then we'll bring it down, scoop it all in. I'm really excited to see what this does. Something, nothing, anything? Do I care what the black Kahawa tasted like before? Kinda. But since we're playing and experimenting, it seems to be the theme of the past couple of weeks, along with runny noses, this weather. The cold, the chill in the air sucks. It's the end of May. Can we get some warmth for an extended period of time? And I think I said this before, the minute the warmth comes, the rain goes away and everything dries up and the grass turns brown. Right now, the grass is a beautiful green in the spaces where there are grass, because there are places where there aren't grass, because that's just the inconsistency of grass, you know? Grass is a weed. It grows wherever it wants. It doesn't grow where it doesn't want to. That's how weeds work. So, all right, we got our cacao in there, chopped up. Do the same thing with butter when you want to melt butter. If you want to melt butter, a stick of butter, half a stick of butter, chop it up. Put it in your microwave that way. Usually in something. Don't just put it on the microwave spinny tray. You want it in a bowl or in a measuring cup. You don't want to do that. So we won't do any half and half. We'll just do the coffee with the cacao. Once we get to a point where everything is ready to go. Did the cacao leak through? Is that what that is? That was not there before. Cacao is magic. Somehow, because I put this thing through the dishwasher. It might have been yesterday when I was chalking up the cacao, because the Chemex was back here. So some of it may have flipped into the bottom and I didn't notice it. That was definitely chocolate. So, all right, so we're going to do, so we got 32 grams of coffee in there. I'm going to do about 400 grams or 400 milliliters of water. Got our Doctor Whovian mug. I love this mug. I love the depth. I love the color. I love the etching. It's a really cool mug. Even without the etching, it'd be a great mug, but with the etching, it makes it even cooler, because I like sci-fi kind of stuff. I keep meaning to go back and watch the old Doctor Who stuff, but boy, some of it's really, I almost want to say like Shakespearean in a way, where you like want it in little bites. I don't want to sit through an entire Shakespearean play. I kind of want it. One of the very few things that I would probably want in a TikTok style. Or if you're watching Instagram, and Instagram will, have, people will post small snippets of movies. Usually it'll be flickering with a little line going through it to try to beat the copyright. That's what that's for. That little shimmer and weird movement is to beat the algorithm so that the video stays up long enough to generate enough views and not be copyright claimed. So, it's kind of funny how they are constantly trying to beat the algorithm. Cool, we are there. This should be an interesting bed with the chocolate in there. All right, let's see what we got going on here. Also will be a very interesting drawdown. Oh, I put a little too much in there. I kind of wanted it to brew just a little bit. The cacao is already melted. The water is so hot, the cacao is already dissolved. This might have been a 2-bulb dealio. But I did want it to steep just for a little bit, bloom as you were. You can kind of see the gases kind of bubbling off. That's kind of what we want. Degas it just a little bit, and then we can start. Yeah, chocolate's already melted. It's going to be, you're not going to be able to see those cocoa nibs up against the ground coffee at all. So it's also, it might also be a little too finely ground. I mean, the cacao is going to add enough volume to it to where it'll be a lot harder for it to strain through anyway, because it's oily. It coats. It's almost like the inside of these little bags, how they're waxy. It can make a little wax. It can make the coffee a little bit more waxy and not release its water as quickly or easily, as we're kind of seeing right now. Also, this may have been too fine for this filter coffee anyway, but we'll have our drawdown. I think we'll be fine. I'll add another 100. We'll let it go down. There we go. So yeah, the car. I don't know if I've told, I probably have. I've been doing this for 2 years. I can't remember the stories I've told and haven't told unless there's something really major. We're about, what was it, in 2020. We just moved into this house and I had just paid off the Subaru. I had a Subaru Outback Limited. It was blue. So I was really into it. It was great. It was between that back in the day and a Mazda MX-60 or something, a CX-60 or something like that. It was another SUV because I like wagons. The Mazda was getting good reviews, but then again, I didn't consider a Subaru for whatever reason. I didn't consider a Subaru, and it totally should have been on my list. And we test drove the Subaru, and it was just absolutely fantastic. I liked it better than the Mazda, and it was in my price range because I had a decent job at the time. So we just went forward with it, and I had a Subaru and paid it off. It was a great car. 2015, and then 2020 rolled around. I paid it off. I'm like, boy, I miss having a car that not only sounds really good, but drives really good, because the Subaru had a CVT in it, which is a variable transmission. It's not an automatic clutch and gears. It's more like a rubber band. So it would, like, if for longer gears it would stretch out, for shorter gears it was just like a rubber band, the transmission was. So that's why if you have a CVT, you never hear it shift or you feel it shift. It's just like the RPMs just go up and down, and it's good for a lot of different things. It's not great for performance vehicles. So, and of course, the Subaru Outback is not a performance vehicle. It's a hauler. It's a wagon. So, we found. I was looking at other things. Came to the conclusion that I can't afford any of that. So, just kind of gave up. And then Matt, who does his research and loves to do researching and loves to look things up, found a Porsche, that Macan GTS, and I'm like, I can't. Actually, he found 3, and I'm like, I can't afford a Macan. And then we worked it out and worked out what I was making, and then come to find out, this particular used one was in my price range, especially when you factored in the trade-in value of the Subaru. And at the end, it was as close to the Subaru as a Porsche could probably get when it came to how much it cost. So it was actually really insane. And it was just before vehicles started becoming scarce, especially used cars. The used car market during COVID went, it exploded. The housing market exploded, and so did the used car market. It exploded because new cars were not coming in as quickly as they used to. Our neighbor ordered a smaller GMC, not a Denali, but a larger SUV, or not a large SUV, an SUV that would fit in his garage, basically, because he had an old Denali and it wouldn't fit in his garage. Older, I'm maybe like 10 years old. So he was looking forward to getting his new Chevy SUV, and after 7 months of waiting for them to, get to the build that he wanted, they still had made no progress, and we're still giving him like 3 months out. So he canceled that and bought a Dodge Hemi pickup truck that does not fit in his garage, which doesn't matter. It's just very interesting how that turned out. Are we still draining here? Let me unclog. Yeah, just a little bit. We're also getting a lot of air flow loss because it's crowding the spout here. So, but it's also very, look what it's doing. It is dripping. It's dripping because the ground was too fine, and I think that chocolate has definitely coated a lot of stuff in there to make it a lot less soluble. So it just made it waxy. So we'll get there. It's hot anyway. Nobody wants a super hot coffee. So anyway, Porsche Finder. If you love Porsches, you want to go on the Porsche Finder. Just look it up in Google or DuckDuckGo or whatever browser you have on your computer. It's Porsche Exchange. No, well, where we bought it was the Porsche Exchange in Chicago. The Porsche Finder is like new and used Porsches that are certified throughout a huge dealer group. Unfortunately, there wasn't anything either available or in my price range locally. So I'm gonna poke the bear here a little bit. Without trying to burst the very thin paper here. Just trying to mix it up a little bit so we can get a little action going on here. Don't do this normally. It's just that this is just weird, very chocolatey smelling coffee. I mean, you can see the nibs. Some of that is nibs. Some of that is coffee grounds. So we'll let it go. The story's not done. The Porsche Finder. Go on Google. Look at the Porsche Finder. You can narrow it down by all of the different types of Porsches, and you might be surprised at what you were able to afford. I know then I was, because it was a GTS, Grand Touring Sport, which is like in between Turbo and S, I believe. So it's like S, GTS, and then Turbo, I believe. At that point in the lineup. Now I think GTS is the top of the line, but anyway, at that point, it was S, GTS, and then Turbo S, I think. So it was as loaded as it could be. There were a couple things that I would have liked that it didn't have, but it was a 2017. It had Apple CarPlay. It made wonderful noises when you put your foot down. You could haul stuff in it. It was four-wheel drive. It had a great four-wheel drive system. It still has a great four-wheel drive system. 7-speed auto with the ability to flip it into actual manual mode as opposed to the vehicles now where you can only put it in drive and then use the paddles. And the newer vehicles won't let you ping it off the limiter, which basically means the revs go up to 7.5. And if you have it in manual mode, you can bang the revs off the limiter. If it's in automatic mode, it will shift depending on if you have it on normal mode or sport mode and the appropriate area of the rev range to get you the most of what you need. But now, if you have an automatic, manual mode is kind of meh, in my opinion, because it doesn't really give you the control that you've got in like the 2017 Macan GTS. Anyway, I'm waffling about that. We went up there. We didn't even test drive it, which was really stupid in hindsight. It was a used car. It was Porsche certified, so we kind of knew that they're not going to certify a vehicle unless it's passed like a really rigorous inspection, because they give you an extra 2 years of warranty if it's Porsche certified on the vehicle. So it still had the remaining factory warranty on it, and then it had an additional 2 years after that in order to show you, hey, we believe in this vehicle. So we went in, we looked at it. It's gorgeous, still gorgeous. It's got more dings on the front of it now, but there's not much you can do about that because you live basically. I mean, you got a vehicle. It's going to get things on the front of it. There's just nothing you can do about that unless you garage it forever and then waste the car's potential. And that is incredibly sad to me. But anyway, so I think we're done. I think we've got what we need out of this. We can just put it over here. Yeah, because now we're slush. I don't want you to go down the sink. All right, we'll just throw you away because I don't want that going down the sink. Okay. Throw you away. Thanks for playing. I don't know if after all of that, I don't know if any of the chocolate's going to come through at all. It might not. We may be better off sticking the chocolate in the bottom of this cup rather than trying to have it go, as you would think it would work, I've seen people take coffee for espresso and press like raspberries and strawberries, or raspberries, something more porous. Strawberries aren't very porous, so like raspberries or blackberries, and put them into the portafilter. Pass it through the espresso machine. I mean, it's not going to hurt the machine. It's just going through the portafilter, so that's not that big of a deal. But I've seen people do that, and it's really kind of weird. I just think it would be harder for the machine to pass anything through it. I mean, even though raspberries are small, it's still pressure, so it's still got to press it at like 7 bars, you know? I don't know. Anyway. Yeah, it just seems like a waste of a piece of chocolate now. I mean, yeah, I think you'd almost need 2 or 3 in there in order to get anything out of it. At least in that method, that way. I mean, it just tastes like the back of the black Kahawa, the poetry. Which is, you know, what are the notes? It's sweet fruit, roasted nuts, and sweet fruit. So there's a roasty, toasty taste, and then there's a little sweet end note to it. There is also an interestingly new bit of a bitter note on the back of my tongue. So I guess the chocolate did do something, even though it was just add bitterness, which, you know, is not ideal. But the coffee's really good. The black Kahawa is really good. So to end, we talked to a sales rep over the phone. Sales rep was really great. One of those really good salespeople. And I think Porsche is a lot like that, where, you know, you come in, you want the car, you've already done your research. Give me your sheet that you want to build. We'll go through it and build. I'll give you my notes and then tell you what I think, and then we'll build it, and we'll see you in 4 months. You know, depending on the wait period of the car you order. Or in the case of used, you know, again, it's not like Saturn, I guess early 2010s, when I worked at the Saturn dealership. People would walk in and the salesperson would have to be incredibly knowledgeable of what's on the floor because people just weren't going on the websites to research stuff. These days, it's a big deal. You know, going on the internet, researching, taking a look at the vehicle you want, understanding what it does, what it doesn't do, and then walking in with a sense of what you want makes them more of a guide rather than a teacher at that point. So that's probably why there are fewer salespeople in sales. I mean, they're just there to guide you through the process. It's like a lot of things, you know. You know, they're just there to guide you through the process to make it easier for you to buy your car. You know what you want, but now I'm here to dot your I's and cross your T's, you know? So, and maybe give you a little bit of advice along the way to best suit your needs. So, you know, and it's kind of what the salesperson is kind of turned into. They have to know their product, but at the same time, we're walking in armed, you know, with knowledge. I mean, it's not like you're walking into a surgery and telling the doctor how to cut an artery. You know, you're walking into a show floor, and a car is a car is a car, whereas an artery is a lot of different arteries doing a lot of different things in a lot of different places, in a lot of different sizes. So, you know, there's just, you know, that's why I'm not saying, you know, salespeople aren't necessary. They're very necessary because, as I said, they're guides now. They're less salespeople and more guides to get you to a certain spot to make sure you're comfortable with what you want. I don't need to sell. Why am I selling you on salespeople? That's weird. Because that's my personality, to be honest with you. I want everybody to be okay. Oh, it's sad, really. So we get up there after like a week of talks. We get up there on Memorial Day when they are open. They had just kind of reopened themselves and were limiting people that were coming in. So you had to make an appointment. So we were able to make an appointment because they didn't have a lot going on that day. So we were able to go in. He had the car prepped for us. We sat in the car. We looked around. It's beautiful. It's still a beautiful vehicle. It was a beautiful vehicle then. It was only, 3 years old at that point. Now it's 8. Now it's 8 years old. It's got almost 94,000 miles on it, whereas when we bought it, it had like 44,000 miles on it. The story was the guy came in for an oil change, and his sales rep said, "Hey, you want to come take a look at the brand spanking new ones?" And he's like, "Sure." And then he bought one on the spot and then left that one there for trade-in. So it's funny to have that kind of money. It would be interesting to know what that felt like. But I'm very grateful that he did, though, because it was not an expensive car. And if it had been on the showroom floor for another 2 weeks, it probably would have gone up in price, because that was just the start of the used vehicle drought. New vehicle drought was still kind of trickling in, but the used vehicles had shot up in price so much during that entire time. It was really hard to keep anything in stock. We just got really lucky that had just happened like a week ago, and nobody had started looking for new vehicles or used vehicles yet. So we were very fortunate. And that was back when they were doing 1.9% APR for 5 years. So, I mean, that was huge. What a great APR on a Porsche financed through Porsche Financial. So I'm excited to own it, still own it, to continue to own it, and now to own it outright. You know, how cool is that? What a great feeling. I'm so excited to continue to drive it. We're going to drive it to Nashville at the end of June. So, you know, we've been able to kind of back off on the mileage on it, which is kind of nice, which has been saving in parts and stuff. I just had the brakes replaced. I talked about that a couple weeks ago. I've got a rear shock that's going to need to be replaced, which I'm working on with a friend who works with vehicles that have air suspension. So he could go in there a little cheaper or a lot cheaper than what Porsche could have done to fix that rear, or to replace the rear shock. So, you know, so it is maintenance now, basically. And with the rear brakes replaced, I feel a lot more confident in all of that. So even though my credit card is now maxed out because it was not cheap to get those rear brakes replaced, but they're replaced and it's a lot safer for it. So I'm very excited. It's great. Anyway, thank you so much for watching today. Is this failed? No, this is not failed. This is different. I probably wouldn't do it again because, again, it just added bitterness. You know, you really need the half and half or milk to kind of help grab any kind of sweetness to balance this out, because there is no sweetness in these little balls of danger. So, and then you can't rely on the sweetness of the coffee, because the coffee sweetness it's just a different kind of sweetness, and it can be fleeting, like less than a note, you know, of sweetness. So you can't really rely on that, because this could just change the entire face of the coffee. So it kind of did here. Because like I said, on the back of the tongue, there's a bitter note now, whereas there was none before. But as it stands, it's still a great cup of coffee. And the black Kahawa, the poetry, if you see that in your store, it's actually pretty tasty, and I would recommend it as a pour over. So thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. I hope you have a great Wednesday, Mow Day. We'll put our trash out tonight as opposed to last night. Hopefully they will take it tomorrow at some point. They seem to be getting later and later and later, but that's an old person gripe. So we will talk to you tomorrow. Have a great day. Bye.